Good day everyone, my name is Sheila Rindina, the first reporter of the Rizal'S Retraction. So learning outcomes. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the conflicting views or accounts about the Rizal'S Retraction, analyze each view or source, use primary sources in presenting or writing about a local issue. So the retraction is a document containing a message of Jose Rizal retracted or renounces his anti-Catholicism writings and ideals included in his novels. Historical context. Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Yolanda is a leader of the reformist movement in Spain. So reformist is a person who advocates gradual reform rather than abolition or revolution. So Jose Rizal was arrested, tried, and sentenced to death by a Spanish court-martial after being implicated as a leader of the Philippine Revolution. So the night before his death, by firing squad at the Luneta on December 30, 1896, accounts exist that Rizal allegedly retracted his Masonic ideals and his writings and reconverted to Catholicism following several hours of persuasion by the Jesuit priest. There was considerable doubt to this allegation by Rizal's family and friends until in 1935. So the supposed retraction document with Rizal's signatures was found. Until today, the issue whether Rizal retracted or not and whether the document is forged or real is a subject of continuous debate between historians and Rizal scholars alike. So, there are two kinds of primary sources that will be reported in the next reporter. So the first two are the official accounts as witnessed by the Jesuits who were instrumental in the alleged retraction of Rizal. The other two are critical analysis by two Rizalist scholars who doubted the story of the retraction. That's all. Thank you.
That tell us about Rizal's retraction is from Father Vicente Balaguer's account. Father Vicente Balaguer was born in Alicante, Spain on January 19, 1851. He joined the Society of Jesus on July 30, 1890 and went to the Philippines in 1894. He was one of the Jesuit priests who visited Rizal during his last hours in Fort Santiago. He claimed that he managed to persuade Rizal and to denounce Masonry and return to Catholic fold. In affidavit executed in 1917 when he had returned to Spain, Balaguer also claimed that he was the one who solemnized the marriage of Rizal and Josephine Bracken hours before the hero execution. About the text of the account of Father Balaguer's first meeting with Rizal on December 29, about 10 o'clock in the morning, Father Balaguer and Father Villa Clara went to Fort Santiago, where the chapel of cell of the convict was located. Before going to the fort, Balaguer went to the palace to receive instruction and order from the prelate. Archbishop gave him the formula of retraction and profession of faith composed by Reverend Father Pio Pai. He mentioned in his letter and affidavit that their encounter with Rizal started with discussion of some articles of Catholic faith. They debated in issues such as the supremacy of faith over reason and dogmatic differences that divided Catholics and Protestants. The Jesuits went straight to the Archbishop's palace and informed their superiors of what had transpired during their first meeting with Rizal.
Good day everyone, I'm Elmarie Mangubat and I will be continuing to discuss about Father Vicente's account during the Rizal's Retraction. The second meeting happened around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Father Villaver and Father Villaclara returned and tried until sunset to persuade Rizal to recant. At their second meeting, nahitabo sa prisuhan kung asa na priso si Dr. Jose Rizal. It was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Silang duha ni Father Villaver and Father Villaclara, nimbalik sila dito sa prisuhan para i-tried ang ilang best to persuade Rizal to recant. In their third meeting with Rizal took place at 10 o'clock in that evening. And during this time, Father Villaver and Father Villaclara presented the two templates, the two retraction templates that were made by Father P para iphatag ni Rizal. Then, next, according to Father Villaver, Rizal found the first template unacceptable. Why? First, because it was too long. Second, the language and the style were not reflective of his personality. Maong wala dawata o gi-reject ni Dr. Rizal ang first template because ang first template kay wala nagpakita sa iyang pamatasan. Di niya feel ang first template. Then, tungod ana, Father Villaver withdrew the first template o gipresent niya dito kang Rizal ang shorter one, ang ikaduhang retraction template. Pero, Rizal did not sign it right away because he was uncomfortable with the statement, "I abdominate the Masonry as a society reprobated by the church." Rizal wanted to emphasize that Philippine Masonry was not hostile to Catholicism. Philippine Masonry was not hostile to Simbahang Katoliko, and that Masonry in the London did not require its members to re-announce their faith. Ug ang sa Masonry sa London, ang gustong i-emphasize ni Dr. Rizal nga ang Masonry dito wala nag-required sa members na i-re-announce ang ilang faith. Mao na iyang gustong ipasabot o maong wala siya mimpirma dayon sa ikaduhang retraction template. And so, ang gibuhat nila, the Jesuits allowed Rizal to revise the retraction template. They allowed Rizal to usbon or revise ang template since he was not in favor with that statement which I abdominate the Masonry as repudiated by the church. Mao, gi-allowed nila si Rizal nga usbon ang ikaduhang template. And his final version read, ang version ni Rizal read, I abdominate the Masonry as the enemy of the church and repudiated by the same church. Then, after making another minor changes to the draft, Rizal, together with Senor Fresno, the chief of the picket, and the Senor Muri, adjutant of the plaza, signed the retraction letter before midnight. It was dated December 29, 1986. Since they allowed Dr. Rizal to make some changes sa ikaduhang retraction paper, o after making sa mga minor changes sa draft, Rizal, together with Senor Fresno and Senor Muri, nimpirma siya alongside with Senor Fresno and Senor Muri sa iyang kilid. At it was signed before 12 in the midnight, December 29, 1986. After that, napirmahan ni Dr. Rizal ang retraction paper. Father Villaver and Father Villaclara gihatag nila ang papel ni Father Fee, who was in turn gipasa niya ang papel dito ni Archbishop Bernardino Nozalinda. That would be all.
Good morning, Sir Jude Legaspi. I am Adeliana Joanna Rica, and I am your student in History 100. This video was tackled about the statement and the account of Father PUP. And these are his statement. He is a Father PUPY Vidal SJ. He is a superior of the Jesuits in the Philippines in 1896. He is published the account that he made in Manila in 1909, La Muerte Cristiana del Dr. Rizal. He is issued an affidavit about his involvement to Rizal's Retraction. He's confirmed his account in a notarial act signed in Barcelona on April 7, 1917. His shorter document was accepted by Father Vicente Balaguer. And this is the account that he wrote. The fathers in the chapel received a letter for them to accept that took care of Father Rizal, who is considered a convict back. The fathers follow what is written in the letter, not because they are from the higher office, but because they want to save the soul of Dr. Rizal, who is their most eminent and beloved pupil. Father PUP hasn't visited nor talked to Dr. Rizal while he was staying in the chapel before accompanying him by the other fathers to the Bagumbayan. The Bagumbayan is the place of execution of Rizal. Dr. Rizal had a long and very meaning conversation with Father Balaguer. Rizal surrendered willingly and completely to his faith with the Lord and the Christian sentiments. When the retraction was about to be started, there have been a conflict between Father Balaguer and Archbishop about the composition that they have made. Father Balaguer wrote the modification by his hand and signed beneath Rizal's signature. Chief of the picket, Wendell Fresno, and the adjutant of the plaza, Eloy Moore, who was the witness. Rizal took the document by his hand and knelt down the altar of the chapel. Father PUP did not know Rizal and did not come to see him when he was on their church, but he knew what was happening and the proceedings of Rizal's execution through his fellow fathers. Regarding the complex conversation from his anti-Catholic ideas, the Jesuits were able to persuade him very easily, and so Rizal surrendered willingly and completely to the faith again. He copied and modified his own retraction document and signed it together with the two witnesses. After that, Dr. Rizal went to the altar and knelt down and read this document aloud. That's all. Thank you.
Hi guys, good morning. My name is Kimberly May Tijano and I am assigned to report about Rafael Palma's critical analysis regarding Rizal's retraction. So just a little background about Mr. Palma. He was a lawyer, a writer, an educator, and also a politician. He was also the author of Biografia de Rizal, which is a work on the life of our national hero that won a literary contest in 1938 that is sponsored by the Commonwealth government. So the publication of the said book was postponed because of the World War II and only saw a print in 1949. And also in that same year, an English translation by Romano Zaita with the title Pride of the Malay Race and was published by Prentice Hall Incorporated in the United States. So right now we are going to tackle about Mr. Palma's analysis regarding the case. He said that for the first time in this work, those who should have spoken from the beginning because of their direct intervention in the act of conversion and retraction of Rizal's should speak and confirm in all its parts the narrative which appeared in 1897 in Rizal y su obra. He mentioned that it should be conclusive, but that's not it. That's not the case. All the declarations therein cited are those of the ecclesiastics and their friends. So when we say ecclesiastics, they are a group of people that is a member of the clergy, or they could be a priest. So they are on the religious sector. He said that it is also supposed that all of the latter would not contradict the version given by the former. And according to him, the only testimony that might be considered impartial or unbiased is that of Taviel de Andrade. And Mr. Andrade was the defense counsel of Rizal. But his testimony to the conversion of Rizal is a mere hearsay or a gossip. That is to say, and what we heard the priest say, and that diminishes or reduces its value very much. He said that we must consider the weight and value of these testimonies, which to be partial and interested. And we do not ignore the respect that is due to the sacred character of said persons. But Mr. Palma quote Brutus that said, "You are a friend, but truth is a greater friend." He also said that we must consider whether the coetaneous acts or coincident acts performed by the ecclesiastical authorities or by the government are in accord or in accordance with the belief that Rizal had been converted, for if they are not, they would not be able to produce the oral evidence that is needed. And right now, what I'll be doing is I'll be providing you the acts that demonstrates that Rizal was not reconciled with the Catholic Church, judging from the way they treated him after his death. So in the first place, the document of retraction was kept secret so that no one except the authorities was able to see it at that time. And by the way, when we say retraction, it is an act of taking back an offer or a statement, or admitting that what you said or your statement was false or untrue. And also, only copies of it were furnished the newspapers, but with the exception of one person, nobody saw the original. And in fact, this original was kept in such a way that it was not until after 30 years had transpired or had passed. So it was not revealed after 30 years, not until 30 years. And in the second place, when the family of Rizal asked for the original copy of the said document, or a copy of it, as well as a certificate of canonical marriage with Josephine Bracken, both petitions were denied. So their request was denied by the authorities. And also, when we say canonical, it is relating to or allowed by the church law. So this is still also in the church's side. And in the third place, Rizal's burial was kept secret, his cadaver having been delivered to the members of a Catholic association friendly to the friars instead of being delivered to his family, who had claimed it. And by the way, when we said or when we say friars, they are a member of any certain religious orders of men, specifically in the four mendicant orders, such as the Augustinians, Carmelites, Dominicans, and Franciscans. And Mr. Palma also said that he questioned here that how is Christian charity applied to the one who dies within the church, if not even the desire of this family to bury him in their own account is respected. And in the fourth place, in spite of what Rizal meant to the Filipinos and what his conversion meant, no masses were said for his soul or funeral held by the Catholics. And in the fifth place, notwithstanding the claim that Rizal was reconciled with the church, he was not buried in the Catholic cemetery of Paco, but in the ground without any cross or stone to mark his grave. Only the diligence of his family was able to identify the spot where he was buried. And in the sixth place, the entry in the book Burials of the interment of Rizal's body is not made on the page with those buried on December 30, 1896, in which we knew that Rizal died during that day or during that date. And where there were as many as 6 entries, but on a special page wherein appear those buried by special orders of the authorities. Thus, Rizal figures on a page, so his name was written on a page between a man who burned to death and who could not be identified, and another who died by suicide. In other words, he was considered among persons who died impenitent and did not receive spiritual aid. And when we say impenitent, so he was included, or his name was included on the list of the people who do not have shame or regret about his action or attitude. In the 7th place, there was no moral motive of the conversion, which is also said that the conversion of Rizal has no moral justification. Every time a person does anything out of the ordinary or is unusual, there should be, or there might be a reasonable cause for it. So what may have been the driving force behind him to join Masonry and make peace with the religious practices he had fought against? Did he not understand that to do so would be a dishonor in his own past? And after that, Mr. Palma said that Rizal was a man of character, and he had demonstrated it in the many circumstances of his life. And Mr. Palma said that he was not likely to yield his ideas because his former preceptors, they're teachers, and teachers taught them. And also he said that they did it in the Pitan, so they questioned him in the Pitan, but did not obtain or received any result from him or answer. And why would he renounce his religious ideas for a few more hours of his life? And in short, so his conclusion said that, in short, Rizal's conversion was a pious fraud to make the people believe that the extraordinary man broke down and succumbed before the church which he had fought. So when we say succumbed, so they are the people that fail to resist pressure or temptation. So this word is very negative. So the Archbishop was interested in his conversion for political motives only, and the Jesuits lent themselves as his instrument. So when we say Jesuit, they are a Roman Catholic order of priests. So the Archbishop was not interested about his life, but because of political motives. And also, the example of Rizal would have great resonance in the whole country, and it was necessary to bolster. So when we say bolster, this is to strengthen the drooping prestige of religion with this abjuration. So what is abjuration? So when we say abjuration, or his retraction, like what I've said earlier. So he questioned here that, what if Rizal was a man of valor? A valor means a man of courage, or a courageous man, and conviction, and has convictions, and his conversion would be unbelievable? So much the better. So the interest of religion is above Rizal, or is above him. His aureole of glory had to be done away with if necessary. So when we say aureole, this is his aura. So his aura of glory had to be done away with if necessary. So what did it matter? Or why does it matter? He was only an Indio. So when we say Indio, they're a group of people, or they're the people that belong to the or they're a group of people that are poor, that could only be slaves and peasants for the rest of his life. And that would be all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. So we're gonna talk about Austin Coates, born in April 16, 1952 to March 15, 1997. His first study on Rizal was on the later years long stay in Hong Kong in 1891 to 1892. His first study and travel books included Rizal, Philippine Nationalist, Martyr, City of Broken Promises, and Macau Narrative. In Philippine Nationalist and Martyr, he analyzes Rizal's reaction and events. So, after the execution, the newspaper recorded the event and announced that Rizal has retracted his religious errors, adheres Freemasonry, and had married Josephine Bracken. In most newspapers, the text of a letter of retraction supposedly written by Rizal was printed in full. Rizal's family and circle of personal friends took one look at the announcement and dubbed it an ecclesiastical fraud, while unquestionably a fraud, to suggest that the Archbishop's announcement was issued knowingly, or there was a plot among the higher ecclesiastical authority to perpetrate a fraud is going too far.
Balaguer had the intelligence to perceive that everything depended on speed and audacity with which he declared his success. The Archbishop waiting for retraction and announced it immediately, and it will be too late or Balaguer's colleges to dent it. Certainly, there was no signed letter of retraction. Rizal believed before God he had nothing to retract. Archbishop's statement provoked, had there been a signed retraction letter, it would have been produced for inspection. Balaguer's claim was apparent to the Jesuits, but it was too late to rectify. None of the Jesuits nor Pio Y. Vidal believed that Rizal had retracted and died confessed. Villa Clara and March satisfied cause Rizal would not be given Christian burial if he didn't retract. Rizal's family found it difficult to accept the retraction or the marriage. Difficulties began as this belief spread, and it was depend by Balaguer's urge to see himself publicly praised. Balaguer also damaged the church's case. He also unwittingly revealed his own fraud without mentioning ultimo adios. He concluded that no poem had been written, no mention of his account, thereby revealing his truth, proved that he was within the Port Santiago that night and had no knowledge of what is taking place. Not only did he not mention the poem, he also made his account so elaborate that Rizal's is allowed no time to write and glance at ultimo adios is needed to show that it taken several hours to write.